Hi, everybody. As we know, man has always been obsessed with immortality. Things to lengthen our life. Many scholars have looked to the past, not only in science, but also in religion. Why the great Methuselah itself lived to be over 400 years old. And ancient ruins tell that humanity had a much longer lifespan. But as with the curiosity of man, we dig in places where we ought not, read things we ought not, learn things that we were never meant to learn. We become fascinated with these things. We become almost infatuated. However, for one man, it truly did become an obsession. Dr. Swansworth, a tenured professor at Miskatonic University in Arkham, Massachusetts, a leader in anthropology and archaeology, he had grown older in life and very much sought the purpose and the meaning to it all. Though he was a little bit kooky, as many we may know, but his heart always seemed to be in the right place. Well, as of late, there was a discovery made in Algeria, and his associate is to bring the statue back. A great find, something that will unearth lost, hidden knowledge within the world. However, his associate has beaten him back. And we find ourselves in an office at the bottom of a stairs, down a hall, with a shouting match going on. I don't care if you found it. That's irrelevant. You wouldn't be there, Jack, if it wasn't for my research.
Yeah, and that's exactly the fucking problem I have with that, Professor. I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for your research. Now, when you sent me out there, you told me, go out there, do some digging, find this fucking statue. What you didn't tell me about was all the weird ass fucking shit I was gonna have to deal with in there. I mean, they stood up. They stood up. They were fucking dead and they stood up, all right?
For an educated man, you certainly decide to use the curses very liberally. But I will say this, you have done your work, you will be acknowledged, but at the end of the day, when the journals come out, it will be my name, because it is my research that led you there. You have been paid handsomely, and you will continue to do so. Why? Because we both know that you have no other line of work that you could get into, and we also...
Yeah, no, see, that's where that's where you're wrong, all right? Like, I don't really care that much for a freaking credit in a dusty old freaking academic journal. I mean, my problem is that you're sending me to places that are increasingly messed up, and you're not giving me what I need to know ahead of time to deal with it. And now, if you want to keep doing that, you're going to have to either come up with something to compensate me for that. And I don't mean no freaking credit in no freaking academic journal, right? You can take all the credit that you want for this stuff, you know, that's not what I'm about. But if you're gonna keep sending me to freaking places that are gonna get me killed by something I don't even understand and can't fight, that's not gonna freaking happen. That's not gonna happen, all right? I'm freaking done with it. You wanna go out there in the fucking desert and you wanna take a shovel with you and you wanna go out there and you wanna freaking dig for this stuff, you go out there and you do it yourself. I'm done. That shit that I saw there that night, no one should see that. And I am fucking done with it.
And yet, you survived. And that is the key thing. You survived. Why? Because I chose you, not for your strong back, not for your strength of arms. You've seen greater horrors in the trenches of France. And yet you tell me that a little spooky sound in a tomb off in Algeria is going to send you running for the hills?
It's not a spooky sound in a tomb in Algeria. You get those all the time. You don't know because you're sitting here behind your freaking wooden desk and you're freaking just like receiving all this stuff that I'm out there fucking losing my mind over to get you. Don't minimize it. That's what I'm fucking telling you. Don't minimize it. You don't know what I saw. And the things that you're dealing with, the things you're trying to find, the things you're trying to uncover, I don't think we should be messing with. I saw men die, which is one thing. I've seen a lot of men die, and that's fine. But I've never seen them get back up again. All right? And whatever is doing that, whatever is causing that to happen, it's not of this world. And I think we had better frickin' leave it where it is. And if you want to continue digging for this stuff, and if you want to continue opening these doors, you're gonna have to do it without me. Because I'm not...
Strong enough, old boy?
You're fucking insufferable, you know that?
I am insufferable because we are on the very brink of immortality, sir. Very brink.
All right. Look, you're fucking gone bonkers. I think maybe you need to take a step back from all of this, and someone needs to put you somewhere where they got like freaking padded walls and a tight little white shirt that wraps around you, all right? Because you're insane. You're fucking nuts. No one is supposed to touch this. No one's supposed to deal with these things, and you're out there looking for it. You're nuts, Doc. You're freaking nuts. All right.
Yes.
And you can keep being nuts without me. That's all I got to say about that.
And you will be plagued by the nightmares for the rest of your life.
Well,
you
at
want
least I
them
still
gone.
have a life.
Well, not much of one when I'm done with you.
Or is that a fucking threat? Is that a threat?
It means that you will mind your place, receive the package at the museum like you were instructed to do. You will go, you will kiss ass, and you will stand on ceremony at the unveiling of it. You will regale the founders with your adventures in Algerian desert. And then at that point, sir, your contract will be complete and you are free to leave. And I will find somebody else with a stronger strength of will and the vision required to take our people into the next generation.
Turn around, open the door, stop, turn back, look at him. You're a fucking piece of work, you know that?
I am. And so are you.
I'm going to go out there and I'm going to honor the rest of my contract because I'm a man of my word. But then when I'm done, if I ever see your freaking face again, I am going to punch it so far down your throat, it's going to come back out your ass. All right?
He just smiles at you. He adjusts.
Oh God, you're infuriating.
He adjusts his glasses as you leave. As you go to exit his office, right? That unmistakable sound of glass window door slamming shut, right? And that brief rattle. In a huff, you turn around, and at that same moment, for whatever reason, you just missed her existence. You bump into, and at this point, Creep, please describe what you look like, and then Bleak, describe what you look like.
You see a rather petite, small, younger girl. She has dark hair, dark eyes. Her hair is pulled up off of her neck. And she's smartly dressed, but also very modestly dressed for the time period. A very simple dress. She's holding some books and papers in her arms.
Bleak, what do you look like?
Jack is in his late 30s, thinning dark hair, certainly a couple of days growth of beard. He's currently wearing a dirty old shirt. He's got a long trench coat over it, but he's got the dirty old shirt with like a little scarf around his neck, and he's got one of those newspaperman kind of cap on that as he comes out of the office, he's pulling on with rage over his head. And as he does so, he doesn't quite see Creep's character, and I imagine he bowls her over, runs right into her with everything just sort of flying all over the place. And when he was, Jesus, would you watch where you're going? What the? And then when he sees her and sees that she's just this innocent young woman, he's like, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. She kind of kneels down very timidly and starts picking up her things.
I think Jack's really embarrassed by this, and he just looks at the doctor, at the professor, and just kind of not knowing what to do, looks at Alice one more time and, I'm sorry, and walks off.
In that moment, just that briefest of moment, there is a slight recognition between the two of you. Not necessarily that you know who one another are, but that faint in the back of your mind, I know this person. Whether it's you've seen them in a dream, experiencing a small dose of deja vu. Dismissing it, though, you both continue about your way. Alice, you see the professor inside his office.
As Alice steps in, may I interrupt you for a second, Kurt? I just want to say thank you very much to everyone's donated bits so far. I believe that Raven Sarah bought a advantage for Creep. Yeah, Boy Big bought one for me. I saw something go by for Kurt. I'm not sure if that landed. I want to say hi to Lord Gasumba. Jay, thank you so much for dropping in. We appreciate you being in here. Scottish Jeff also. A couple of advantages, one for me and one for Creep. Thank you very much, Scottish Jeff, for that. I think I got everything that's happened so far. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you all coming in. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for visiting us. Greatly appreciate it. And Kay, just redeem medal for who? Kay, for Creep? Say for Creep. Creep's gonna need it more than I will. We'll say it's for Creep. Creep, 3 advantages already.
I feel powerful.
You
Probably gonna need it.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate everyone being here and dropping the bits. Please go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
So, as you walk in,
Is everything okay, Mr. Swansworth?
Alice, you are a sight for sore eyes, my girl. Please, come in. Come in.
She kind of toddles in and takes a seat at his desk with her things.
He gets up from his seat and walks over, and he says, "You know, I could not do what I do if it wasn't for you."
You really mean that, Mrs. Swansworth?
Of course. You truly are one of the most important people I have ever laid eyes on.
Wow, I don't think anyone's ever said that to me before.
You are. You truly are. Though you may not understand it, and you may not necessarily see it at this point in time, I assure you, my dear girl, you in fact are the key to life itself.
I don't think I'm following.
I know you aren't, but that's okay. As he reaches down and he kind of cups the side of your face just a little gently. Did you get those tablets transcribed that I asked for?
Oh, yes, of course I did. And she very quickly goes through her notes and pulls out a few sheets of paper. Here you go.
Ah, thank you. I greatly appreciate your work. Is beyond measure, and I cannot thank you enough for it. Now, things are afoot. I am unfortunate that my partner is here to help bring in the statue, though decorum is a matter that must be handled. I would very much like you to ensure that you are at the museum to assist with the receiving of the statue from Algeria. Now, I need you to understand that this statue may be a touch frightening for your delicate nature, but it is important that you see it because it is key to our research. You know, all of those, it will help you to come to understand those rituals that we conducted and we reenacted to ensure that things progress the way that they should. And you'll see similar markings and carvings on the statue that we as well ensured to replicate. Now, it is important here, and he leans over and he grabs a packet full of. This is a shipping receipt. This is the receiving. Now, I do believe Professor Montgomery should be there as well to help receive the item, should you run into any problems. And most importantly, do not allow Jack to sign for it.
That was the man who was just in here that he was arguing with.
That would be the one.
He's the gentleman that works abroad for you?
He is, and he is jockeying for a higher percentage.
Well, I'll do my best, Mr. Swansworth. He does seem a bit brutish, though.
He is a man of many talents, very high of wisdom. He's a very wise man. He fought in the trenches, you know. And yes, he is a troubled man with a troubled past. He doesn't quite fit in anywhere. But his skills are unquestionable. Though, as of late, it seems that I am brought into question of his resolve in the pursuit of our goals, so to speak. You see, much like yourself, he's plagued with several nightmares, reoccurring things, and we know that it's not shell shock, as the doctors had cleared him of that, and he sees things and encounters things. He's convinced he sees the dead walking from time to time.
Well, that's certainly troubling.
Yes, it is, my dear. It is quite troubling, and I truly do wish to help the man, and however, he seems to wish to bite the hand that feeds him, so to speak. But that's okay. He wishes to fulfill his contract and be on his way, and that's all the better. All the more time for us. And he reaches out, and his cold, clammy, bony hands grab your soft, young, delicate hands. We can complete the work, and we can achieve what no man has achieved.
You keep saying that, Mr. Swansworth. Sometimes it makes me a little nervous.
Why? Why, my dear? Why are you nervous?
Oh, I don't know. Just so important. I've never been a part of something so important before.
My dear girl, you don't seem to understand. I took this young, beautiful flower from a small, meager beginnings. And here you are now, an educated woman. Not just in some simple way, some placated degree. You're learning languages. You're learning histories. Things very much dominated by men in the field. But you are following in my footsteps. You know, I never quite told you. I too was an orphan.
Oh, were you?
I was. Yes, I lost my family to cholera when I was but a small boy, though it wasn't quite your age. Though we hailed from farther up in Maine, and you from Innsmouth, it's a good thing that you're here. We found each other. The fates, as it were, have brought us together.
Well, you know, I appreciate all you do for me, Mr. Swansworth.
And I appreciate everything as he rounds around you and you feel his cold, bony hands on either one of your shoulders. Everything you do for me, child. Now, be sure to get these filed. I have another engagement this afternoon that I must prepare for. So please, by all means, I believe the package should arrive, and you see him pull out this sterling silver pocket watch that has odd writings on it. You know that he's had this the whole time that you've met him. And it's almost like a token of his. He looks at it, sees it, closes it. You have approximately 2 hours, my girl. Now, please, give my best to Professor Montgomery. Receive the item. Jack will be there to ensure that nothing's broken or anything along those lines, but it is important that you sign for it. Because if Jack signs for it, then, well, he'll technically have ownership of it, and it'll create a whole series of problems. Now, good day to you, dear. And most importantly, I'll see you this evening. Don't forget.
Of course I wouldn't.
And he goes back and he sits down at his chair, and you see him pull out this odd-looking quill pen. Now, you know that he normally carries a fountain pen of some kind, right? But he pulls out a very pointed quill pen that looks to be made of a peacock, but he's been an eccentric man as long as you've known him. Jack, where is it that you wish to go after your encounter?
Well, first of all, I think as I rush out, I light a cigarette, walk outside, stand on the steps, take a few deep breaths of smoke. What time is it? When am I due at the other place? Sort of. What's the schedule at this point?
You're due over at the museum in about three-ish hours or so. And past that, you don't have much to do. You don't really have a home here. You're staying in a hotel. And you're just kind of here for the receiving of this statue, getting your cut, and going to the ceremony to unveil it. Past that, you're kind of free to do what you want, though you do know that Swansworth has had some growing concerns with the other staff, and the other staff have begun growing concerns with him. Now, you're not necessarily in league with other members of the staff, but you do know that the curator of the museum, Professor Montgomery, has had his misgivings regarding Professor Swansworth and the things that he is doing.
So then I think I'll probably head to the museum, even though it's a bit early.
Okay.
First of all, I want to go check out the place and sort of, get a feel and see sort of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Once I'm there, if I do find the opportunity to speak to Montgomery or something like that, I think I would definitely want to do that, because I think Jack feels a little isolated and alone, and I think the idea of maybe somebody else also having, I've been across the Atlantic for a long time, so I don't really know what's going on this end of the business here. But if there are other people that I've heard that also have misgivings, I think I would want to try and get some support, because I think it would be easy for Jack to sort of doubt himself also, and to kind of, the professor's words still ring in his ears, and this idea that it is a pretty sweet job that he's got, and he would kind of be out on his ass without it. So I think he would feel that if he's going to step up and kind of, try to stand up to the professor more, he would want to see if he's got backup. So I think he'd probably head out there and try to talk to some people out there and see if there's any support to be had.
Okay. So you find your way over to the Miskatonic University Museum, the Arkham City Museum. While it is not on university grounds, it is still technically tied to the museum itself and it allows the study. Think of it kind of similar to if you're familiar with like any of the field museums, like the New York City Field Museum, the Chicago Field Museum, where they're tied to the colleges that are there for purposes of research and things along those lines. You find yourself standing before this large, massive building. It is lined with columns that harken back to that of the Roman Empire. 4 stories tall, as long as 3 football fields, and nearly as wide as 2. This massive monument of a structure of knowledge, history, arts, you name it, it's in here. You walk in, and as you do, it's eerily quiet. You look around, you take in, there's a giant skeleton of, what is that? I believe it's called a triceratops? I don't know. Ancient animal studies aren't really your thing. And as you do, you see a handful of students moving around from left to right, a couple of minor security guards. You've heard of this place, and you understand that you're supposed to be going to the shipping and receiving docks. Though, where it is, you're not quite sure. The echoing sounds of people around can be heard as you see people moving, small children, families, this side of the other. The marbled walls cause the sounds to echo. And in that moment, you hear the cacophony of people rolling, gaining speed. And then you look to the left and look to the right, and you see a couple of kids playing tag. And then you hear one of them scream, and for half a moment you freeze for a second as they scream, and the cacophony begins to turn into screams and more screams. And then you hear a large bam as a book is dropped, and it echoes through the hallway. And then suddenly you are taken from where you are, and you're back in France. And the flashing lights around you, the sound of gunfire, the screams of men as war rages around you. And you look up to the sky, looking for a salvation of some kind as the mustard gas begins to roll in. And quickly you don your mask, looking up into the sky, and you see a shadowed figure. Something not quite human, not quite God. Not quite the devil. Wings stretched out, calling to you. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you okay? And you see this young looking man pushing like a small trash can on a cart with like a mop and a broom attached to it or whatever. And he's standing there in overalls and a small cap, very much the janitorial service, right? And he goes, you're having a bit of a moment, sir.
Yeah, buddy. I'm all right. Reach in, put a cigarette in his mouth, get his Zippo out. It's probably shaking.
You can't smoke in here, sir. There's flammable things everywhere.
Oh, yeah? Well, ain't that a fucking shame? Light the cigarette. Damn it. I'm all right, kid. I'm all right.
Are you here to take in the sights, or are you...
Do I look like I'm a tourist, kid?
To be perfectly honest, you look like one of the actors out of the pictures they show on Saturday nights down at the movie theater. With your hat and your jacket and, like, I thought maybe they were shooting a movie around here or something like that. They've done that here before, too,
Yeah. Funny, kid. I'm sorry, you got somewhere I can put this out?
And you see him, like, he pulls out like a handkerchief and he kind of like spits in it, and then he's just like holds it out.
I put it in there.
it goes out, and he kind of like wraps his handkerchief around it and puts it in his pocket. I'll take care of that for you.
What's your name, kid?
I'm Jacob, and I'm and he like points at the name on his shirt. Literally says Jacob, and he's just like, I'm Jacob. Are you lost? Are you trying to get somewhere? Can I help you?
Yeah. I was hoping to get to the receiving docks.
Oh, you'll have to get clearance from Professor Montgomery. He's the curator of the museum. I can. Well, he's not here right now. He might be in his office, perhaps. If you want to get to his office, you just go down the stairs, or down these stairs here, and you're gonna follow the hall all the way back. And once you get to the back wall, you'll see a sign that says administration, and then you're gonna hook that left and follow that down. And he goes on and on and on and on.
Like, all right. Yeah. I light another cigarette. All right, kid, look. All right, look, thanks. Where are so many kids here today? Like, you always have this many kids in here, like, it's fucking menace.
It's a field trip day from the from Oakport.
Yeah. What time did they leave?
What time did who leave?
No, what time did they leave? Or what time is the field trip?
I don't know, but they're never really here for more than a couple of hours with the busing and everything.
Yeah, well, I hope they're not here when the package arrives.
What package would that be?
Yeah, look, don't worry about it. Down the hall, hook a couple lefts, go up some stairs, down some stairs, turn around.
Right. Just follow the signs that say administration.
All right, well, hope I can remember how to read.
I would hope so too.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You know Professor Swansworth?
Oh yeah, I mean everybody here knows him. He's putting in the next big exhibit.
You ever meet him?
Once. I was tending the area. I was helping to set up and clear out the area where his display was going to be, and there were a couple of artifacts that he had already received from Algeria. A pair of talismans.
Yeah, I remember those.
Well, I was trying to work quickly, and I was trying to get home to my new wife, and I accidentally knocked one of the stands over, and there was no harm, no foul, but I picked up the item, and I guess, I don't know, it lost time somehow. Anyway, the next thing I knew, he was swatting it out of my hand, telling me it was not mine to handle, and it was very scary experience and whatnot. But Professor Montgomery said, it was okay, that Professor Swansworth was just a little eccentric, and I mean, for people like of him, it's understandable.
They say eccentric when they can't say asshole, right?
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't. I did. Yeah, look, do yourself a favor, kid, and don't touch any of the shit that Swansworth brings in here. Most of it's no good, all right?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, one more question. You ever see a broad hanging out with the doctor, young, not bad looking, good legs, kind of, innocent looking a little bit?
Yeah, that's Alice.
What does she do?
She's a teaching assistant. She helps do some of his research, and then some of the other kids say that she is part of his he teaches she teaches some of the underclassmen classes sometimes in the basics and a couple of languages. I mean, some other folks say some other things, but that's
yeah. What?
I am a gentleman, and I'm not going to repeat those things.
Yeah, probably best that way. You know, young woman like that's gonna have enough trouble making her way through this kind of world without getting, you know, that kind of scuttlebutt trail in there.
But she's a very nice lady. She's always been very nice to me, and I've never had an issue with her. So you had better be nice to her.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I'm a gentleman too. Cut from the same cloth, you and I. You know.
There's still no smoking in here, sir.
Yeah. All right. Hey, look, knock off early. Go home, see your wife tonight. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that, but I'll finish my rounds. Don't you worry.
Don't touch anything.
Yeah.
You're a good guy, Jacob. Thanks for bringing me back down to earth.
Yeah.
And get these kids out of here, would you?
I can't do that, sir. But administration's just...
Yeah. Down the left, turn around, say you're... Yeah, I got it.
Like, this dude is just a janitor. He's just like 100%. Like, he's just a janitor.
He's Cthulhu. We all know it. He's fucking near lots of time. Chaos. So I'm gonna head down to Montgomery's office then, if I remember how to get there.
You very much do. Though I do need you to give me a roll, please.
Just any roll?
I need you to give me a spot hidden roll, please.
Spot hidden? Do I even have that? I probably have that. I'm the kind of guy who would have taken spot hidden.
Everybody has a base 25, even if you don't have.
Yeah, I got a little bit more than that because so it's good to spot the hidden. I'm going to use one of them advantages that we got earlier. Oh, actually, I can roll first, right? All right. I'm going to roll first. Oh, I got 17. So that's like, actually, that's...
what's your core number?
It's below half. It's below half.
Okay, so you did a superior success. And so as you're looking around, you notice more and more as you're walking down the halls. You can't help but catch your eye. You know that there are other explorers and other expeditions that have been out. Hell, you've bumped into some of them. Miskatonic University very much gets around, and a lot of times they come from joint starting places. Heck, you're pretty sure you saw that thing right there get crated up in Cairo last time you were there. And here it is. It's a smaller version of the Sphinx. And there are several wooden crates with markings on it that you definitely know from Algeria, but you don't remember packing them.
What the hell's going on? You should have gotten out of this racket before I even got into it.
As you're going, I need you to make me a sanity check.
Oh, well, Ooh. Sanity, do not abandon me now. I will use one of my advantages. I will re-roll the 10s die because
Okay.
I had a 68 over 55, which is not good. 38.
Are you good?
I am good.
Okay. You hear, as you're walking through, you hear those dissident whispers of the men from your previous expedition, the ones who died and then sat back up. And you hear the faintness of their screams, but you manage to shake them off. Maybe it's just a little hang up or an aftershock of what you felt before.
It's fucking jet lag.
We don't have jets.
It's
the Germans haven't invented
propeller
them
ag,
yet.
yes. And I'm just gonna chalk it up to the professor getting my blood pressure high and
Of course, yeah. Of course.
light another cigarette and go and try and find Montgomery
Meanwhile,
back at the ranch.
Alice, you're walking down the hall, away from Professor Swansworth's office. It's odd where his office is at. For someone so tenured, someone who's on the financial council, someone who is well respected, he has this, sub-basement, back of the building kind of office. And it feels as though you spend more time underground than above ground. But then again, you reflect on some of the peculiarities in which he conducts his study, and then again, perhaps maybe it's for the best that his office is so far removed from the rest, given the history that you have with him. The clack, clack, clack of your small-heeled shoes through these echoing hallways. You hear this faint creaking noise, a familiar noise, and this slop sound of a mop hitting the floor. As you round the corner and you see the young janitor who always seems to be mopping these floors whenever you're around. He looks up at you and with that amazing smile, and you recognize Paul Waits. Well, hello, Miss Alice. You come to turn in some more papers to the professor?
Hello, Paul. Yeah, I got a couple papers I gotta turn in before I go do some other things.
Yeah, well, I mean that's great. It's real great to see you around again. You guys got a big unveiling happening, is what I hear.
Sounds like it. I gotta get down there to sign for it.
Oh, you're signing for it. I ain't ever heard of a dame signing for something so big before. But I mean, he must really trust you and really think that you're really about it.
Well, I work really hard for the professor.
I don't doubt that at all. No, I don't. I've never seen him take to a research assistant or a teaching assistant like he's taken to you. That's for sure. Making some of us younger fellas a little jealous. Not gonna lie, he gets all that attention that you got to give.
You're funny, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes. Well, I won't keep you. I won't keep you, Miss Alice. It's always nice to see you.
It's funny how I always run into you out here, Oppen.
Well,
That's where I so happen to be walking at.
Well, I mean, it's fate, maybe, or something along those lines. You should really let me take you to dinner sometime. I mean, granted, I'm a man of low standing. I understand that, and you being educated and everything and whatnot. But I promise I'd surely show you a good time. I really would.
Paul, it has nothing to do with that. I'm just a real busy girl.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, you take care of yourself, and hopefully I'll bump into you again in the hallway.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. All right. And it slop as it hits the ground, and he begins to mop, and you see him start to whistle a tune as you go, and the tune sounds familiar as you're walking away.
Familiar how?
It's something sea captains would whistle.
I think she pauses for a minute and kind of lifts her head and listens.
As the tune continues along, you remember it. You don't quite remember the words, right? But you remember hearing it as a child, and you remember it. How did it go? And it's at the edge of your memory, but you can't quite grab onto it. But it does sound familiar. And as you kind of maybe look over your shoulder for a moment at him. You see him just mopping along. And then the mop hits the bucket and comes out mopping along. And almost as if his mop goes from left to right, left to right. You can hear sounds that you haven't heard in a while. The sounds of the ocean. Of home. But it's not really home. It hasn't been your home in I don't know how long now.
I guess she's listening. Her hand kind of drifts up and she touches a spot on her dress where she has a necklace tucked inside, and she smiles and she thinks of the ocean, and she'll remain in this peaceful place for a minute before it's almost like she's been daydreaming, and she's gonna very quickly scamper off towards turning in her paperwork.
As you come out of that daydream, Paul is gone. In that moment that you drift off, thinking of the waves, focusing on them, the world around you melts away for just that briefest of second, or, well, you think briefest of seconds. And then when you snap back, right, he's gone. You don't hear the slosh of his mop bucket, you don't hear his footsteps, and you don't hear his whistle.
I think the fact that he's no longer there doesn't really reach her,
Okay.
because when she's pulled out of that, it's instantly like, oh shit, I have to go get this stuff done for the professor if I'm gonna keep being teacher's pet.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like, gotta get something done for the professor, and that kind of consumes her mind in between these little breaks of fantasy she may have from time to time.
Yeah. So as you're going, after a short period of time, hustling up the stairs or whatnot, right, the warm breeze of the spring day meets you. The sun hits your skin, and immediately you are warmed, and you smell the fresh air. You hear the birds. You hear other students talking and chatting and moving about, right? And it's as if you've gone from one world into a whole other world. This world feels right and normal and everything that it should, but also just a touch off, because it's not quite like home. It's still fun, it's still great, and it's still wonderful. And you enjoy every moment that you have of it. And at the edge of your vision, you see a familiar sight. Alice! Oh, Alice, hey! Alice! Alice, hey! Hey! And come running over in her little flapper dress that's just a couple years out of style, right? She comes running over, and she looks, and she's got her books up in her hand, right? And she comes running over, and she goes, "Where you been all day? Oh my God, you were gone this morning before I even got up."
Hi, Dottie.
Hi, honey.
Well,
What
you
you
know, I'm
doing?
running some errands for the professor. I've got some really important stuff to do.
Yeah. Hey, the boys came by. They're talking about going dancing tonight. You gonna be around?
I don't know, Dottie. I got some stuff I gotta take care of, and it's really important. Professor Swansworth trusted me with some pretty big stuff, you know.
I know, but I mean, that can't take all night, can it? I mean, come on. I mean, listen, these boys are really cute. They're gonna go dancing. They're talking about maybe going and getting a couple of drinks after. And I mean, come on now. I mean, how often is it, guys are gonna buy us drinks? We're in college. I think one of them plays in the football team. So like I'm like, hello.
I mean, listen, Dottie, I understand, but I have a lot of work to do with my studies. I can't fall behind, you know. It's the only way I can really afford to go to school here. So I have to be really careful.
I know, but come on, it's gonna be a fun night with the boys, and it's gonna be great. You gotta learn to live a little. I mean, and she like leans in, Who knows? You might get a little smooch or two.
Look, Dottie, I'll try really hard, okay? Just no promises.
Okay. Well, oh, hey, by the way, there's a letter that came in for you. It's on your bed. I left it on your bed. It'll be great. It's fine. It's I don't remember who it was from. But on the back of it, all it said was "Love, Dad." But I thought your dad was dead.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's a little touchy. I get it, but like,
It's okay, Dottie.
and at that you hear the ding, ding, and it's like bottom of the hour, and you've got 30 minutes to get across campus to get to the museum.
Okay, Dottie, I gotta go. And she's like starting to rush by. I'll
Yeah.
see you later, maybe, all right?
Okay, see ya. 6 o'clock.
Yeah, okay, Dottie.
As you rush across and you hang on. There we go. All right. As you rush across the lawn, I need you to give me a Oh man. You know what? Just give me a dex. Try and roll under your dex as you are hastily trying to get across campus right now.
While this is going on, I want to say thank you, King Bashman, for all those bits for the advantages for self-creep. We appreciate it, Bash.
Thanks,
for dropping
Bash.
in.
Thanks, Bash. That's right, Bash. Boys have cooties.
Cooties.
I rolled a 40. That's under.
Okay, cool. So as you're running, you manage to, dodge through and around people or whatnot, right? And you're afraid you might tear your dress a little bit, but as you're running and you're moving across, you do. And before too much longer, you can see you've got 10 minutes by the time you get there, and you're standing in front of the Miskatonic University Museum, Arkham Museum, and you've been here 100 times before. This isn't the first time you know your way around, and you enter the building. And it's quiet. Nobody's really around. Only a handful of people moving around. No one really bothering you or anything along those lines. The receptionist behind the information desk looks up, sees you, and she just kind of waves you through, a very familiar face. At that, and you round the corner, but back in the administration tunnels.
Is that a left or two lefts and a right? God damn it.
Can I help you, sir?
Oh, Jesus fucking. Oh, yeah. You're right there, old timer. You sneaking up on people like that?
Well, I'm not quite sneaking up on anybody. You're in my museum.
Are you Professor Montgomery then?
That I am indeed.
Oh, just the man I was looking for.
Well, how may I be of service to you, young boy?
Name's Dobbs, Jack Dobbs. I work for Professor Swansworth.
Yes. Swansworth. The Swan. He definitely does love to tote his image everywhere.
You don't seem particularly fond of the professor. Is this just a regular, inter-academic, rivalry, or you got like a real beef with the doc?
Let's just say his private funders allow him to have, space at this museum, which would otherwise be used for more educational, less fanciful exhibits. His methods are sloppy, his conclusions are highly questionable, and he does not in any way, fact, or form back up complete evidence for everything, claiming that it is all merely secrets that are not meant until the item is complete, whatever that means.
Well, as the man who has to sweat his ass off finding these things, I can tell you that they're quite real and they come from quite real places. Although what their worth is beyond my pay grade to know. But if he's so slipshod and so, greasy, how come he gets all this money? How come he's got backers?
Well, you see, when you promise a bunch of elderly men and women a chance at immortality, they generally jump at it, first off. Secondly, those with lots of money are not always the wisest or intelligent individuals. But that's, well, neither here nor there at that point. Regardless, he sits on the financial board, the admission board, and he drinks brandy with the dean. So there is that.
You telling me that people actually buy into this malarkey? Eternal life, whatever, all that?
My dear boy, it wasn't more than 30 years ago they were conducting seances while they're speaking to ghosts. And they called that science.
Yeah, but, we've progressed since then. This is the modern world. I mean, we're not in the 1920s anymore. This is the 1930s, for crying out loud.
Congratulations, you can count. That's quite admirable for one of Swansworth's hired help.
Well, gee, thanks. Look, I got my own problems with the professor.
Oh?
And I guess I'm just trying to find out if, there are others who feel like you about his work, or is it just kind of a you thing?
Well, I'm sure that there are others who we harbor not nice feelings towards the professor, but we don't exactly form a club. We don't do bridge on Saturday and say, "Oh, look, we hate Professor Swansworth." No, we don't.
Well, maybe you should,
Well, I mean, that
air out the laundry and whatnot.
No, a lady comes by my house for my washing. I do not air out my own laundry.
So you'd rather, like the professor, sit behind your desk and, harbor all your grievances up on your own and just kind of, mumble and grumble about it, but not actually do anything about it?
I get back at him in my own ways, thank you.
Like how you close the museum early, you don't give him the prime viewing spots. Well, what is it that you do?
I mean, that is correct. He does not get the prime viewing spot, if I am honest. And, well, for lack of a better term, I may or may not know a few things about his personal life that he may have let slip. But that's neither here nor there. Those are my secrets to keep in mind to know.
See, and a minute ago you were telling me that one of the problems with Swansworth is that he likes to keep his secrets, and you're sitting here doing the same thing.
Well, yes. Secrets are the only currency we truly have nowadays.
Yeah, well, if everyone just kind of told everyone what was going on, maybe more people would be better off, you know what I'm saying?
Do you really think the average person is ready to know and understand many of the things that we find? I'm sure you yourself have seen and experienced things that no man alive would believe you in. Am I wrong?
Yeah, well, what I've seen and what I've experienced is not the fucking issue here, Doc.
I'm just simply saying, but regardless, what can I help you with?
I'm supposed to be receiving a shipment for him a little bit later on, and I was kind of wondering if you'd give me access to the docks. I was told by your mob guy, Jacob.
Yes, Jacob. Wonderful boy, yes.
Yeah, very, very nice boy. Very diligent.
Indeed.
So could I get access to the docks? And also, do you think it'd be possible for you to get the kids out of here before whatever it is I'm supposed to be receiving arrives here?
Oh, they should be gone within the hour. They should be leaving here soon, and the item in question should not be arriving for a couple more hours. It'll be well after the museum closes. But yes, I will accompany you to the docks, though you should be quite fine in your I mean, what is it you wish? Just simply to the docks? Come, my dear boy. We'll be more than happy to go to the docks. I am making my way there now, as a matter of fact. And he turns, and you see him kind of like take like this hunched little like 4-inch steps as he's kind of like walking down the hall, right? Like these little itty bitty steps as he's walking. Like his legs don't quite get a full stride.
Would you like me to carry you?
Do you dare to insult me, sir?
No, I'm just saying, like you said the thing's going to be here in a few hours. I'd like to get to the dock by then.
And we will, sir. I do not appreciate your lack of respect, sir. I fought the Spanish. Do you not understand?
Was that during the Conquistador Wars?
Got a quick wit about you, sir. I will give you that.
Dodge bullets. Kind of keeps the mind sharp.
I'll bet. But don't worry. Your exploits have also reached our halls. Mr. Jack... Oh, I'm sorry. Jake? No, it was Jack. Mr. Jack Daniels Dobbs. The man who finds lost treasures as quickly as he finds a drink.
Speaking of which, I don't suppose, you'd have a little lay-by somewhere, right? Like,
I am a civilized man, sir, but I do not drink that swill that you call booze.
What do you drink?
But of course.
Well, what do you drink?
Only the finest cognac you can find this side of the Atlantic.
Oh, but I'll abase myself to drinking the fucking French cognac. That's not an issue.
Are you French?
No, but I've fought in a few French trenches.
You sound French.
No, that is just your addled mind. Are you smelling toast, Doctor?
No, I don't believe that I am. Come, young boy. You obviously have had a long trip. And he slaps you on the back. And when he slaps you on the back, right, there is this old man strength that you feel in the slap on this back that makes you kind of hesitant in that whole, like, okay, maybe I don't necessarily want to screw with this guy kind of thing. No.
Jeez, do you lift, Prof?
I mean, I have to lift books and artifacts. Just because I am in charge does not mean I don't pull my own weight and then some, sir. Now, tell me, tell me about your latest expedition. I would love to hear
I'm gonna need a couple shots of cognac before I can tell you about that.
We'll get there. And he starts to head in the opposite direction towards his office.
Very slowly. Well, at least I got my smokes pulled on that cigarette. Thank you, Raven Sarah.
Thank you.
An advantage. I'm going to use it to do terrible things to the professors.
So, as we continue on, after a couple of hours, Alice, you come running in. You know your way to the docks. Well, hello, Miss Alice. Bye, Miss Alice. As Jacob, as you kind of rush past or whatnot, right? And after a short period of time, you make 3 lefts, then a right, then you hang a U-ey, and then you make another left and a right. There's a roundabout in there somewhere, and before you know it, you're at the docks.
Why is it always back into the left?
I don't know. It always is, right? And you come to the docks, and as you do, you see a large truck backing down in, and a couple of the museum employees, the janitor, handyman type, right, are standing there waiting. And as they're waiting, and you see them bringing the truck back slowly, right? You look over. Alice, my dear girl, it pleasures me to no end to see your fine self on this day. Oh, Jack, my new good friend, Jack Dobbs. Have you met the fine Alice?
Yeah, I believe we have earlier. I'm very sorry, Miss Alice, for my rude behavior earlier. I was a little incensed by the professor. I'm sure you can understand that, but I'm sorry if I brushed you. Are you okay?
Oh, don't worry, Jack. I'm just fine. She's gonna kind of reach out with a hand, shake yours.
Shake your hand.
Hi, Professor Montgomery.
Hello, Alice. And he like clasps your hand, right? And you feel the warmth and the happiness almost flow through him, like an old grandpa seeing his granddaughter kind of thing, right? You get that same kind of vibe from him. It's always a pleasure to see you, my dear Alice. Now, I assume you are here to take ownership of the item for the professor? Once again, he couldn't be pulled away.
Of course, you know how he is.
Yes, this is true. Well, boys, let's get it unloaded, shall we? Let's see what far-fetched, interesting thing that is probably absolutely crackpot coming from Algeria here to grace our museum sideshow attractions. Here we go.
Lean into Alice. He's laying it on a bit thick, don't you think?
Weren't you in Algeria for the professor?
Yeah, it was me and some of my boys who dug out or were about to unpack here.
Oh, very exciting.
Yeah, that's one word for it.
Well, you should be proud of yourself. Mr. Dobbs? Can I call you Mr. Dobbs?
And call me Jack Doll.
Okay, Jack.
Okay, if I call you Miss Marsh?
Yeah, of course. You can call me Miss Marsh. You can call me Alice. Whatever's better for you.
Yes, young people getting along. This is wonderful. Yes, boys. No, put your backs into it. Yeah, I got to do it all myself. And you see him kind of shuffle on over or whatnot, right? Then it's this large, it's this very large standing wooden crate, right? Jack, you see this thing, and immediately upon seeing it, I need you to make me a sanity roll, please.
I think as Professor Montgomery is walking up to that, she's following after him going, now, Professor Montgomery, be careful, all right? I can help you if you need some help.
Oh, my dear girl, you help me in the soul. That's all that truly matters.
You always have the kindest words, Professor Montgomery.
Well, you are an absolute gem, my dear. Now, if you'll excuse me, boys, no, get the straps. If this falls over, I'm going to be quite cross with you.
I rolled 57 over 55, so I'm going to use one of my advantages to reroll the second die. 51. All right, I'm under 55.
Okay. All right. So as you see it, as you're looking at it, right, you get that, I can't ever think of the name of it, that movie shot where the hallway just starts to get fucking longer.
Oh yeah, it's a
that thing.
Focus thing, yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, right. It
focus pull or something.
Yeah, something like that, right? It's like it focus pulls away and then it brings it back to you, right? In that moment. And you can feel something slithering over your brain, as you look at it, knowing what's inside that box, but you steel yourself away from it, and those tendrils that felt like they were crawling up the back of your brain itself within your skull begin to subside and reach down, and that queasy feeling in your stomach begins to settle itself as you steel yourself with resolve. And the two men shuffle the crate out and get it onto a wheel cart and bring it over, hook it to a steel jack above, and begin cranking on it. And the click, click, click.
Hey,
click,
be careful
click.
with it, boys. Be careful with it.
Yeah.
I grab another cigarette.
The click,
Miss
click,
Marsh.
click, 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 click.
Okay.
And they wheel the cart out from underneath it, and then they go to click, 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 and Montgomery goes, "All right, gentlemen, slowly, slowly," and then foing, pop, as the chain snaps, and it comes crashing down with a loud, audible thud, and the wooden panels on the side splinter and shoot out, and I need you each to make a dodge roll.
Dodge. Do I have dodge?
It'll be half of your dex if
Yeah,
you
I got
don't.
Oh, mother of God.
You are muted.
I'm good. 30. Under.
I said, holy cannoli. I would like to use a luck point.
Okay, which one are you gonna roll?
I'm gonna re-roll my 10s.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Oh my fucking Jesus, it just got worse. We went from a 61 to a 91, boys.
Outstanding. All right. And what did Jack get?
I got 30 under 63.
30 under 63. Okay, cool. So as it lands and the wood splinters with such force, it sends wooden splinters out. And Alice, you feel a warmth running down your thigh. And before you can realize it, looking down, you see blood coming from your thigh, seeping through your dress, dripping slowly down as a chunk of wood has gone through and sliced your thigh along the outside of it. And the other guys are looking around, covering themselves. "Oh, my dear Lord, woman, you're bleeding."
God
"Oh,
damn it.
no." And you see Montgomery trying to shuffle his way over to you.
I'm assuming this is a pretty, like,
Oh, it's
a fairly serious wound.
yeah, it's a pretty gnarly gash. You took 2 points of damage.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think there's just a moment of surprise in her where she's not quite sure if she maybe just peed herself because of the blood running down her leg, and slowly her eyes kind of peer down to her leg, and you just hear her go, "Oh, I seem to have a," and then her eyes start to roll back in her head, and
can I
she's
try
gonna
to catch her?
drop.
Yeah,
Catch her?
you can most definitely try and catch her. Go ahead and give me a, buddy. You know what? Let's just try and do a dex roll. Just try and do a dex roll to try and catch her.
Dex? It's my
Yep.
Dex. Oh, yeah, okay, I got it. I am going to re-roll the 10s dice, so I
Okay.
got 2 advantages left after this one. Okay, much better. So I got 48 under 65.
Okay, so as you catch her, right? You dive over to try and catch her to like stop her head from hitting the ground or whatnot, right? You look over, and in that moment, you see that the wood has fallen away and kind of crumbled, and the statue, from what amounts to the waist up, is exposed with the twirled hay and wooden straw that is in there that was used as packing material. And you see that blank face change and warp like mercury in your eyes. The very thing you saw in Algeria. And you see it change to the face of every creature and everything all at once. And it morphs into your own face, and then away from it, and then into nothing.
Fucking cognac, Jesus! I'm gonna once I have her, I'm gonna lay her down, gently shaking my head. Professor, do you have any first aid kit? Never mind, Professor. You're not gonna get there in time. I look at one of the guys. Go get me a first aid kit, and I'm gonna try to, rip part of my coat out and, tend to her wound, do a tourniquet or whatever I need to do to.
As you do, right? Give me a first aid roll. We'll see if there's a first aid kit nearby.
Okay. My first aid is 50, and I just rolled 40.
Okay, so you managed to get her leg bound up real quick and tight. It doesn't look like it's gonna need stitches. It was just one of those kind of she's a bleeder kind of thing, right?
I get that thin blood.
Yeah.
I fall into bouts of anemia often. I've got an iron deficiency. I'm sorry.
So I'll finish binding the thing, and then I'll pick her up. And I'll be like, Professor, let's go to your office.
As you pick her up, right, you look and you see the two men who were unloading the package standing there, arms slack, back arched, looking up at it, mumbling something. And you can see their skin actively withering as this kind of aura begins to press out from it. It looks almost like waves of heat across the sand, only it's emanating horizontally from the statue itself. And you see blood pouring from every orifice of the men onto the floor, and the blood being pulled up and into the statue itself before their entire bodies are disintegrated. And I need you to make another sanity check.
Is this something I've seen before?
Oh, yes.
I also don't think that Alice stays unconscious very long. It's just kind of like a.
Well, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I failed my roll.
You are going to subtract 1d4 plus 4 sanity.
Jeebus. 3 plus 4, 7.
As you're sitting there blinking, seeing this, holding Alice, right? Like seeing this happen, right? Alice, in your unconscious state, you hear the sound of crashing waves, of children playing, and the smell of the sea, and the cacophonous sound of the foghorn, and the blinding light of the lighthouse. And you hear a familiar voice, one so far removed. Wake up, Minnow. And as your eyes bolt open, you bolt open and you're in Jack's arms. Jack just staring, his eyes fixated in a direction. And you look over and you see the statue. And you see the men withering away into nothing being sucked up into the statue. And as you look at the faceless statue, you see its markings and carvings along its arms and its chest, unable to see the rest of the statue. Its face begins to change form. It begins to look odd. It first grows large, fish-like eyes that turn into that of a man. It seems to have long tendrils that droop down, that suck back up into the mouth of like a fish, and then it forms into a man's mouth, and then it molds away to a blank as you see that radiating heat wave coming off of it. And then in an instant, with a clap, it's gone. My dear girl, sir, we must get her to the office. Come, follow me. Follow me.
Oh, I'm quite all right. I had a little bit of a spell. Sometimes it happens. It just takes over me.
I know, dear girl. I have a couch in the office which will get you laid down and properly tended to.
She's kind of like pawing at Jack's chest. I think you can let me down now, Jack. I'm fine. I can stand on my...
My dear, when you saw that?
Saw what, my dear boy?
The guys. I look at the two guys.
What guys? There's nobody there.
The two porters.
What porters, sir? You insisted that you pull out the statue yourself. You said no one could handle it correctly.
No, there were two guys.
No, sir. It was just me, you, and Miss Alice here. See, that's why I asked you if you had a strong back.
Did I see the other gentleman, or just the shifts in the statue's face?
You saw the shift in the statue's face. Like
okay.
when your eyes opened up, that's all you could fixate on.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm not crazy, right? There were two other
Now,
guys.
Alice, you did see two other guys.
Alice, am I crazy?
I did see a couple of gentlemen, but
Yeah, right.
I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. I was really distracted by the statue when it came to. It looked a bit funny.
Yes, it's a very, very fine statue. Byzantine Empire, I would assume, given the cubit forms and things of that nature running along the arm, that so many symbols seem to be. What am I talking about? You're bleeding, woman. We must get you back to the office, and we must call for a doctor.
You're freaking me out, Prof. You're fucking freaking me out here.
I am not a prophet, sir. I am a professor of anthropology.
That's okay. Okay. Hey. Let's go to your office because there's a couch there, and there's cognac there.
I think at this time she's like just kind of slithered out of Jack's arms on her own.
Jack sort of looks. He's still kind of like this, and he's like, "Oh,
my dear girl."
Taking her dress off and straightening the sleeves.
My dear girl, please, allow me to assist you. And he like holds out an arm for you to like grab.
She like hooks into it. She very much so trusts Professor Montgomery. He has a very good vibe about him.
Come, dear. We will call for the doctor. Yes.
I think I was supposed to sign for something. I don't want to leave without signing. Professor Swansworth would be really upset if I didn't do it.
We'll handle that in good time, my dear. In good time. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll get that. I have the paperwork here in my pocket, and we'll get it signed at the office. We've obviously received the item. That is clear. But we must get you to the office and get you proper medical attention.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Dobbs, you're free to join us as well if you've done with your hallucinations.
I'm walking towards the statue at this point and kind of ignoring him. I'm gonna go up to it and.
You feel something wet on your face. You pull your hand away into blood. And you realize the closer you get, the more intense a nosebleed is that's coming from your mouth. And before you can really realize it's on your lips, it's on your hands.
Reach for a handkerchief.
Like
Back up.
you pull it, and like as you begin to back away, right, you begin to hear the screams of your expedition once again.
God damn it. All right, let's get out of here. Give the statue one last look and then...
Do I notice his nosebleed?
Oh yeah, you 100% see that as he gets closer, he starts to have a nosebleed, and then he holds a handkerchief up to it.
Jack, are you okay?
Yeah, I guess I got hit by one of the flying pieces of wood. And didn't notice it. I'm all right. Things have been broken more often than the national debt ceiling.
All right. She's gonna
I'm all right.
take
How
Montgomery's
are you?
arm and...
Come, my dear, he's a good, strapping, strong man. He can handle himself. You're the one we must look after. We must look after you, dear.
We'll follow.
You are of grave importance to the professor. I definitely know that is the case. And he takes you, and after about 5-10 minutes or whatnot, you get to his office, and there is a large leather fainting couch that's there that he kind of very much like slides you to. And yes, Mr. Dobbs, help yourself to the cognac.
I'm already in there.
Yes, I had no doubt. And he shuffles on over to his desk, and he sits down. Yes, this is all quite extraordinary this evening. We haven't had this much excitement in the museum since 1912. It's quite interesting. Very well. All right, here we go. And you see him pull out his
Need to get
glass.
out more, Professor.
Boy, I've seen things that'll turn you white. And he pulls out this book journal thing, and he opens it up, and you can see that inside there's all these handwritten numbers on it. And he's like, "Oh yes, where are we? Emergency services. There's no ambulance. Yes, ambulance." And he reaches out with his hand, and as he does to grab the receiver, it rings.
Jeez. Whew. I'm
And
really on edge.
as it rings, right? We're going to take 5, and then we're going to be right back for the last little portion of tonight's episode. We've only got about an hour left or whatnot, but I have to go take care of something real quick. So I need about 5 minutes. All right.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, everyone.
We'll be back at 5.
We'll be right back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. We are going to continue right here, right now. We do you want to do a short recap, Kurt, or
So our friends, after having dealt with Dr. or Professor Swansworth, Doctor, Professor, Doctor, same difference, right?
Yeah, no, I figured that was a thing that I wanted to do. I was like, Jack is just going to call all of them Doc, because to him, anyone who has education is doctor. So I was like, he's just going to call him Doc.
They dealt with him, and the whole thing was that Jack is here simply trying to receive better severance, for lack of a better term, due to all the crazy stuff that Dr. Swansworth has sent him on. And Alice, being the studious teacher's assistant, has very much been fulfilling her duties in more ways than one, and in some very odd and interesting ways for Dr. Swansworth. However, they were both sent independently to... Your halo's on fire. To receive a statue, an item that was sent by Jack from Algeria from the deserts of Algeria. That was supposed to revolutionize anthropology for the world. That it was, in fact, some sort of missing key piece to the history of humanity and where we come from and why we are here. Dr. Swansworth, believing that this key would be a key to immortality, has made a mockery of the museum, as far as Professor Montgomery, the curator of the museum, says. And upon receiving the item, something happened. Something went afoul and caused the packaging to splinter and, for lack of a better term, explode, cutting poor Alice's leg and causing her to bleed. And in that moment, Jack saw things that he should not see, and his memory altered, or the memory of those around him altered. One way or another, they returned to Professor Montgomery, curator of the museum's office, to call for a medical doctor to see to Alice's wound. And as he sat down to call, the phone began to ring. And he looks to each of you oddly at the auspicious timing of his office receiving a phone call.
Jack pours some cognac in a glass, hands it to Miss Marsh. A little picker-upper.
Hello, this is Professor Montgomery. Yes, curator of the Arkham Museum, derivative of Miskatonic University. Yes, how may I help you? Yes, sir. Oh. Oh my. Yes. Yes, that's correct. She's here. Yes. Okay. Yes. That's fine. Yes.
What's up, Doc?
And and he holds up a finger. Very well. No, I shan't let them leave. They will stay right here and wait for your arrival. Yes, sir. Very good, sir. Very good. And he hangs up the phone, and his hand's kind of shaking.
You're right there, Doc.
Professor Swansworth is passed on.
Passed on?
Yes, my dear girl. It appears that he is no longer with us, unfortunately. I am so terribly sorry, my dear. I know that you two are exceptionally close.
What are you talking about?
He's not amongst the living, good sir. The police would like to ask you a few questions, and they're sending over a couple of uniformed patrolmen to get you. And I was told that I must ask that you stay here until they arrive. Mr. Dobbs.
I'm moving closer to Alice just in case she faints again.
You being his closest associate, I assume, are probably going to be able to answer more things about his most recent happenings, and you and Miss Alice more closely tied to his studies here, dear Lord.
Who would do such a thing?
Well, I mean, he's...
How do we know someone did something?
Yes. Who's
I
going?
look suspiciously.
He's... I must call Marjorie. I must call his wife and let her know.
Of course.
Miss Marsh, take a seat and I'll just guide you to the couch. And
I see him call, and he goes, "Hello, Marjorie. It's me, Virgil. Yes, you need to brace yourself for a bit of a shock. Have you been contacted by the police?" "No. Yes, oh, they're there now. Very well. Yes. Jack is back, and Miss Alice is in my office, and you hear a series of bantering remarks that are made, and he kind of pulls his phone. She is a good woman, and those are slanderous remarks. Margaret, please just we need to focus on new things at the moment. But should you need anything, please do not hesitate to call. I'll be by later. If you're okay, to check on you. Very well. Thank you. Yes. My condolences, madam.
I'll crouch down by Alice and I'll offer you a cigarette. Hey, kid. Here, take this. It'll help steady the nerves a bit.
She takes it. Her hands are shaking.
I'll light the cigarette for her and I'll say, hey, look, you don't listen to any of that crap, all right? Cops are going to come by. They're going to ask you some questions. You tell them what you know. No more, no less. You were here with us. There's no problems.
I just saw him this afternoon. He was fine. Everything was fine.
He was like 177 years old, honey. Like, he was gonna fucking, like, pop a vessel at some point, like.
No, he was just fine. I just saw him. She looks up to Montgomery. You don't think they're gonna think it was me, do you, Professor? I mean, I was there. I was there just a couple of hours ago, getting the paperwork, and getting everything ready to come receive the shipment. Oh my God, he's dead.
And you see him shuffle over. My dear, please. And he takes your hand, and he's just like, you were as good for his heart as you were taxing. And there it is. No doubt that this is something beyond any of us. You see, when the Lord calls to claim us, he claims us. We don't get to choose when or why. It is what it is. And
yeah, but if they want to talk to somebody, that means maybe they think that somebody did this to him.
No, don't worry about it, Alice.
But they want us to stay here. They want us to talk. What's there to talk about? I just saw him. He was fine when I saw him.
I know, that's all. Alice, calm down. Calm down, doll. Look, it's all right. It's just routine. They're just cops. They're just doing their job.
Oh my God.
They're going to come here. They're going to ask you.
How am I going to continue to go to school? Am I going to get my degree?
Boom, 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 boom.
I'll get it. I'll go over. Open the door.
You see two black-clad individuals with hats, and very much in the uniform of the Arkham Police Department. And they stand there and they say, Jack Dobbs, is it? Jack Dobbs?
Yeah, I'll look it out. I'll be right back, all right? And I step outside and I close the door behind me. Yeah, hey, how'd he go?
Well, that's still under investigation at this time. But you or Miss Alice, I believe her name is Alice, and they start to, and they flip through and they look kind of like they're fumbling over themselves. Miss Alice Marsh, we need you to come with us, please.
Look, Miss Marsh has just had a shock. Her mentor, Professor Swansworth, just passed. She's under a little bit of strain right now. If you want to talk to me, how about we start with that? Let her get her nerves back, and then you can talk to her.
We would normally, yes, that would be the case. However, this is unusual circumstances, and unfortunately, we need her expertise.
She the chief medical examiner, and I fucking missed out on that particular memo, or?
Sir, please, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way.
Oh, it's been the hard way for a long fucking time. I'm just saying, she's had a bit of a shock. I'm just saying, give her a minute. All right, she's already nervous enough as it is. You guys come in here, you two fucking gorillas with your suits, come in here, tramping around. Look, just give her a fucking break. All right, give her a couple minutes. You want to talk to me? Let's talk. When she's got her shit together, you talk to her then.
Well, there's not much. We're just simply here to retrieve you.
What do you mean, retrieve us?
The detective wishes to speak to you.
Well, why isn't he here?
Because he's at the scene, sir.
Do these guys feel sus to me, or?
No, like they very much. What you get off of them. Actually, you know what? We're gonna make this interesting to see just exactly what you get. Go ahead and give me a psychology roll if you have it, or psychoanalysis.
Do I hear this, or is this happening in the
Oh no,
right
you
now?
no, you can hear it. The door's not that thick.
Okay.
From your perspective, you just see 3 shadows on the outside of that kind of stained glass.
You mean my 1 in psychoanalysis? I got 10 in psychology.
That works. Roll that.
Oh God! If I make this roll, Cthulhu himself's gonna eat me.
What'd you get?
0-4.
Good to go. All right. So, the look on their face, right, is they have just seen something that they have never seen before.
Oh, I know that look.
Like, straight up, they just saw something beyond horrific.
Yeah, God damn it. All right, give me a second, all right? I'll go fetch her. Just wait out here. I'll go back inside.
You see her just like wringing her hands, and she's kind of wavering back and forth on the bench, mumbling, "I'm gonna lose everything. I don't understand. Why did this have to happen to me?"
I'm gonna crush my cigarette on the desk. I'm gonna go get the bottle of cognac. I'm gonna take a huge swig out of it. I'm gonna fill a glass. I'm gonna come back to Alice. Alice, take a shot of this. Take a shot of this now.
Well, I'm not really a big drinker, Mr. Dobbs.
That's all right. Just drink this.
This is like when your parents give you medicine when you're a kid.
Yeah, it tastes exactly the same too.
She tosses it back and... it just tasted a lot like medicine. That was terrible, Mr. Dobbs.
I know, but it's all right. It's good for your soul.
Speaking
of good for your soul,
that like a pro.
Speaking of good for the soul, thank you so much, Bones. Little Bones, for the raid. You were good for our soul, just in time to see Donna and Creepshow get drunk and start vomiting all over the place.
My baby.
Thank you very much, gang, for the raid. All right, Alice. They want us to go with them.
Oh.
Yeah, they said something about needing your expertise. Now, look, I've seen the look these men have on their faces before. I've seen it in other men's faces, but I've seen it in my own face when I've looked in the mirror after certain events. These men have just seen something that has bothered them very deeply. So wherever we're going, there's going to be something very upsetting. And I don't just mean the professor dead. There's going to be something strange there. Now, do you know anything about the professor, things he was into, what was going on, that we should know before we go there?
I mean, what sort of things? The professor was into all sorts of stuff. He was a very, very smart man.
But why would they say they need your expertise? What do you know about his work?
I mean, I do a lot of the translations for him. I just translated a couple tablets the other day for him. I mean, I work under him exclusively, doing this kind of work, and
what exactly those translations that you made, what were they about?
They were literal translations that were taken from Jerusalem, which detail the extent of Methuselah's life and his journey from what now is known as Morocco across the desert. And in those translations, it talks about how that area where the desert area was actually a part of the Mediterranean Sea. And how at one point in time, much of what we know as the Sahara Desert was in fact ocean. It was underwater. It was all a part of the Atlantic at one point in time. And something happened. Something happened of a biblical nature that drank the seas and lowered their levels enough to create the Saharan Desert.
Is this
She
anything
relays
that
this.
Yeah.
Is this anything that I've had to do with recently, Kurt? Or
You know that the brief information that she gave you marries up somewhat with the temples that you were investigating and looking at, because the temples were very much, we'll say, water-based in their worship, but they were quite literally in the middle of the Algerian desert, which was part of the thing that made it seem very odd, was because while you can't necessarily read a lot of the languages that are here, you've seen it enough to pick up on some things. And that was one thing that you were able to pick up on, was that this temple was once believed to be on a beach, or perhaps very much near large bodies of water, but it was easily 100 miles from the coastline.
all right, look, Alice, we're gonna go because we don't have much of a choice. We're gonna get there. We're gonna see what's going on. But if at any point in time it's getting to be too much, and you just want to get out of there, just gonna grab my hand. You're gonna squeeze once real tight, okay? And I'll get you out of there. All right?
She leans in. Thank you, Mr. Dobbs. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I think we both got kind of fucking played by Professor. You coming along, Doc?
No, unfortunately, I have to remain here to finish processing the receiving of the item and making sure it gets placed where it needs to get placed. We can tender the paperwork for ownership of said item upon the museum, perhaps tomorrow afternoon.
You want my advice, Doc? You fucking wrap that thing up in freaking aluminum foil, put it in a box, send it right back where it came from.
I will take that under advisement. But for the time being, procedure must be held to, because we are not civilized if we do not follow procedure.
Yeah. All right. All right, come on, Miss Marsh. You have a coat. You have everything you need.
Yeah, I have all my things.
All right, you just stay by me, all right? And you don't let these gorillas intimidate you or anything, all right? If you need to get out of there, squeeze my hand. We'll get out, okay?
Miss Marsh, do you need a doctor? Says one of the uniforms.
She looks down at her leg and she kind of does like one of these. Oh, yeah, I hurt myself a little bit when we were acquiring the package for the museum.
Very well. There is a physician there that's on site. That I think will probably be able to look at you. I know he's a doctor and he has his bag with him. But we'll try and get you there as quickly and easily as possible.
Thank you, sir.
As you go to leave the museum, it takes a little bit longer, and memories of Dr. Swansworth flood both of your minds. And even though you left on bad terms and separated on bad terms, Jack, you can't help but remember how you two came to be, this partnership. How you very much wanted to be him. How you wanted to explore the world, how he was able to lose himself in his studies and explore the world and hopefully find something good in the world worth telling everybody about after all the horrors and unspeakable truths you have encountered in France. And you remember sharing brandy with him at the first dig back when he could still go on digs. You remember the times of sailing through the Mediterranean and him recounting tales of lost empires, both above and below the sea. You remember the time that he took you up to his summer home in northern Vermont, and how you had spent, this is one of the few times that you had spent more than a couple of weeks in the United States. And you remember taking that in and him talking to you about the myths and the legends and how every myth and legend is grounded in truth, and how he inspired you, and how he made you really feel like you could go out there and you could really truly make a difference by finding and discovering your past and the past of the world. Alice, you remember when you came to Miskatonic, how it was the closest school to you, and it was going to be your only way out. And how you came here on a small scholarship from your orphanage. And getting here, you found that that money did not go as far as you had hoped. And how Swansworth came in and saved you. He hand-waved some paperwork in exchange for work. He said, work for me and you can go here as long as you need to complete your degree. And being aimless in your necessary degrees and what you want to do, just anything to get out of Innsmouth, you followed in his footsteps. And before too much longer, he saw you as something of a protege. And as long as you worked for him, as long as you helped in his studies, you always had a place here. Always. Even when things took turns you weren't expecting, and the nature of your relationship changed, you always had a place here. You always had the closest thing that you knew to be family, boyfriend, something. Most importantly, you belonged. And as you reach the entrance of the museum, you both look up to the sky, and as you do, there's a crack of lightning as it shoots across the sky, and the skies open up. And as the skies open up, the rain falls down, and both of you individually see the cracks of lightning through the sky. It's funny how lightning works, how it can play tricks on your eyes, how sometimes you see things in the clouds, and sometimes you don't. How those sudden flashes of light make it to where you think you see someone standing at the end of the road, watching you. Someone standing there in a hat and a long coat. As you make your way to the back of the police car, they open the door for you, and the thunder rolls through and another crack of lightning. And now there's two men. Are they men? Standing in long trench coats and hats. And the lightning strikes again and they're gone. And you're in the back of the car. Rain beating on the car and the hood. You hear as it pulls away to drive you just a short jaunt to the other side of campus. Once again, you find yourselves damp, wet, but oddly comfortable. Walking down those long corridor hallways towards the professor's office. There's a bunch of rambling. More people in these halls than you've seen, and you can't even recall how long, Alice. The man walks out. Gruff man, 5 o'clock shadow, hat pulled off, sweat across his brow. He lights up a cigarette, and you can tell that he's been smoking a lot. And you see his badge hanging from his belt, and he looks over and he goes, he puts it out. You must be Miss Wash? Miss
Marsh?
Miss Marsh? Marsh, sorry. I apologize. Oh, you're injured. Doctor, please come. And you see the doctor come out of the office, right? And he has a look of horror on his face. And he kind of blinks for a minute and he looks over and he goes, detective? He goes, this young lady's injured. And he goes, oh. And you see them pull one of the chairs that line the hallway to the side to sit you down. And he starts to wrap your leg and really kind of go, kind of look at it or whatnot. You see him pull out a bottle of laudanum and puts it over the wound to kind of numb it. Num, 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 num. And you see him start to kind of like suture it up, like right there, right? Detective says, I've got some questions I need to ask the both of you. This isn't easy, and I'm going to have to ask you to verify the person inside the office. And it may be a shock, but I need you to do so. We can't ask his wife to come down.
I don't know if I can do that.
Well, we may need you to verify some other things if need be. But first and foremost, how long have you two known the professor?
A few years now.
And you, sir?
Known him for quite a bit, since around 1920.
And I was told that there was an altercation today, sir, Mr. Dobbs.
Yeah, we had words in his office.
Did you threaten him?
Sure as hell I did.
You can understand my reasoning for asking these particular questions.
Yeah, sure. You can also understand that I've been at the museum all day, and I've been with either Professor Montgomery or Jacob, the janitor, and neither of them will tell you that I was there all afternoon. So,
and we'll verify that. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in this country. This is America.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, can you account for your whereabouts this afternoon into the evening?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
I saw Professor Swansworth earlier, and he gave me some papers to turn in to file, and I was supposed to go sign off for the big delivery today. And I saw Mr. Waits on my way to go turn in the papers. He was mopping, as he always is. And I spoke to him for a moment, and then I saw Dottie, my roommate, Dottie, Mrs. Carbuncle, and I spoke to her for a moment, and then that's when I got there and to the docks, and then I saw Mr. Montgomery, Professor Montgomery, I'm sorry, excuse me, and Mr. Dobbs.
Waits, you said?
Yeah.
And he's flipping through his little notepad or whatever. I don't have a Waits. He said his name's Paul Waits and he's a janitor?
Yeah, Paul. You don't know who Paul's been here quite a while now. I see him all the time. He often, I think he thinks that maybe he's being sly, but I often see him mopping when I'm around.
I'll double check with the school records on that. They didn't have anybody listed on staff of Paul Waits, but I'll double check. Now I do have to ask you some further questions regarding your relationship with Mr. Swansworth. The men have already spoken to his wife, and she has made some very particular accusations regarding the improperness of your relationship with Mr. Swansworth. Is there any?
Is that necessary right now?
It moves to motive. Yes.
Well,
Motive?
look, the look you got on your face, the look the freaking doctor's got on his face, the look your fucking goons got on their face from what's in there, you're gonna tell me that even if Miss Marsh here was having some improprietness, however you fucking mentioned that, however you pronounce that, relations with the professor, which are neither here nor there, that this person here, pointing at Alice, is able to do whatever is in there that made your face look like that?
Motive? You think that they think that I did this, Jack?
We can't rule out anything yet.
That was
How about we
my
go in
only
there and see?
chance to graduate. He was helping me. You know, I don't got a lot of money. I don't have a lot of things. And the Professor Swansworth's been helping me get through my schooling. I do a lot of work for him.
I believe that, and I believe you. I do. I don't question that or whatnot. But we have to follow every lead. And you're saying that your relationship with him was purely professional.
Of course it was. Why wouldn't it be? You know, I helped him with his research. I did a lot of translations for him. That was what I was bringing him when I saw him today at the office. I was bringing him translations I'd done for him.
Did you have any issues? Did he lead you to believe that he had any enemies?
I mean, I don't remember him having any enemies.
Hey, a bunch of people didn't like the professor. I was just talking to Montgomery down at the museum. A bunch of people thought he was a quack. A bunch of people were jealous of him.
Well,
any number of people could have done this.
Well, I mean, there are those from other countries who, you know, feel that taking their relics and their artifacts is sacrilegious to a lot of them, and he may have developed some enemies. And if she worked with him as closely as she claims, then maybe he received death threats or something along those lines in the mail, perhaps. Maybe he alluded to some sort of fear or something along those lines of, you know, reprisals or something like that. Did anything of that particular nature seem to come across your desk or your interactions with him at all?
Oh, as far as I'm concerned, everyone respected Professor Swansworth. I mean, there's the rumors, but there's always gonna be rumors.
What rumors were those?
Well, you know, the ones that Professor Swansworth, his wife, was talking about.
Look, that has got nothing to do with nothing here, all right? The professor was up to his eyeballs in a bunch of shady stuff. Like you said, people all over hated his guts. He was stealing stuff from, you know, he's got more than enough enemies that we don't need to worry about little Miss Marsh here, right? Now, how about you take us, you wanted us here because you wanted us to see what's in there, so how about we go and see that?
Ma'am, I need you. I know this is going to be difficult, but if you studied alongside him, there are things in here that perhaps you can help identify for us.
I'll do my best. I can try.
So you guys are escorted towards the room, and as you guys see, as you're approaching, time feels like it slows down. As you hear the unmistakable pop of a camera go off, and the swishing of a bulb being changed out. You can hear a slight bit of retching and people trying to hold back.
I'll grab Alice's hand.
One of the officers comes out with a handkerchief over his mouth, and he's just kind of like this, right? And as you round the corner to look into the office, I need you both to make a sanity roll.
While we're doing this, I would like to say thank you very much to both Wanderers Haven and Phoenixy Wacky for the raids. Thank you so much, my friends. We appreciate you coming in, bringing your people into the madness. Thank you. Asher, hi. How you going? How's it going?
I'm rolling percentile.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, 37.
Under?
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool.
I got 80, so I'm over.
You got a luck point you could use from the people of the chat.
Oh, yeah. Let me do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to re-roll that first D10. I have one left. Ooh, 30. Thank you. Thank you, Cree.
So, as you round, you feel these tendrils start to crawl up over the back of your brain as you take in this sight, and they begin to recede as you steel yourself. And you look in and you see symbols and markings drawn all over the walls in blood. And you look around at the floor and you see another circle drawn with markings and symbols unknown to you, unknown to each other, unknown in languages that you have never seen before. And yet, at the same time, they feel familiar. They feel like they should be. It's as if you're looking at a capital letter H, but it's missing a piece of it. Or you're looking at the letter A, but it's missing a part of it. And you're looking at these symbols swirling around, and the room itself feels as though it's breathing in and out, in and out. And your eyes drift across the room, and you see the professor there, shirt splayed open, these odd symbols carved into his flesh all the way up through his temples and across his forehead, and his eyes burned out of his sockets, black char where his eyeballs used to be, and water steadily dripping from his mouth and nose. And you smell the sea. And that's where we're going to wrap up for part 1 of this 3-part The Swansworth Obsession.
Yeah. the sound of
I'm gonna at this rate I'm gonna run out of cigarettes before this game's over.